seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Yes, here we go, post-match pish. And it is after a nerve jangling, we could say, Celtic win away at McDiarmid Park. It is the game that we thought we might start, getting our swagger back, getting those goals back that we normally do at McDiarmid Park. Our record there is unbelievable. Instead, today we finished the game with 3 number 6s, none of which were chosen in the starting lineup, and it was all a bit cagey. It was all a bit like we were inviting on our own problems. However, 3 points, we were told before kickoff, is all that matters. I wanted a wee bit of the swagger. We didn't get that, but what we did get was scenes, and sometimes these scenes define titles. We've seen it at Ross County last year, for example. A certain Tony Ralston, if you like to mention him. Tony Ralston created scenes last season in similar fashion to what Georgios Giacomakis, gorgeous Georgios, did. He brought chaos to the stands today, and thank God, Phil McGinley, that he did. We're also joined today by the face of P.M.P, Terry Robb, and the pumped up warlord, Liam Greenlaw. Thank you guys for joining us for post-match pish. Sorry we're a wee bit later today. I've literally finished my shift and then just jumped on this to do it and fired on a Celtic talk for a token gesture, you know what I mean? And thank you to all who are watching already. We're already up to over 50 live. This will be going out as a podcast as well on the old Spotify and all the other platforms. Before we get started as well, please, if you can, hit that like button, hit the share button, hit subscribe if you've not already. And if you want to become a member, that'd be very good. And Phil, I would call that
all that good stuff, mate.
All that good stuff, mate. All that good stuff. Anyway, though, jokes aside, Phil, I would normally come to you first. I nearly came to you first, but I think it's only fair that I go to Mr. P.M.P. self. It's because you're below me, Terry. I'm not even noticing you there.
Just right.
No. Terry, what is it you made of today's game? Because for me, I'll be honest, and if you want me to set the tone, I'm more than happy to. I think it's brilliant when we're on top of this bus. You've been there on this bus. We are the bus of positivity, doing chances, as the show begins. So it's not like we're going to be consistently negative ever or consistently positive. Today, I think there's got to be questions asked about some strange calls. I found the substitutions utterly baffling today, Terry. I felt we invited on a 1-0 game. Yeah, again, you can see guilt-edged chances were not taken. But a 1-0 game when Hatate really is running it, why take him off, Terry? And you look at the subs that were made, I'm not convinced by them either. Today was harder work than it needed to be. In fact, it was a bit ugly. Of course, the relief and that elation at the end does make up for it. But by God, am I glad we're going on at 6:30 as opposed to 4:30 today to do post-match pish, because I was a bit pissed off at that time, I'll be honest to you.
I think the opening gambit's probably just a recording of last week's. The most important thing is the 3 points, okay? But by fuck, we made that tough today. And the thing about it was, I know we were all kind of chatting on the WhatsApp group as the game was going on, and you could see that goal coming. That goal was coming for the last 15 minutes, to be honest, because you had the Stevie May opportunity, which hit the post after a save from Joe Hart. You also had, I don't know who the opportunity was, but it was around about the 90th minute, the guy at the back post, and he's I don't know how he's missed that. So you couldn't say it wasn't coming. But no, I changed my room round tonight just to sort of bring that wee shirt interview behind me, because you've made reference to the decisions, and before anybody starts in the chat, we all love Ange on the bus, and we all want Celtic to tie Ange. We've been calling out for months to get this man tied down. We've won a watch.
Yep.
Yes,
people forget that, Terry.
Yeah,
people
we've won a watch.
We've won
a watch, and we love him. But we're on here for an hour to talk about what we've seen with our eyes, and
correct.
It's only right that we have a discussion around some of the things that just don't quite add up. And the reason I kind of brought the Lennon shirt into view was just simply I'm kind of taking the Mark Kearney narrative here. If the guy over my shoulder was making some of the decisions that we've seen over the last 4 days, everybody would be saying he was on the drink. Do you know what I mean? So
you're spot on. That is the honest truth, though. Mm-hmm. There is a comfort blanket right now, Terry, that surrounds. We, as you rightfully point out as well, on the bus, we're petitioning for the biggest summer signing to be made, and that would be tying down the biggest asset at the club. We all were in harmony. That is Ange Postecoglou. So let's get that fucking right now. And I'm glad you said it, Terry, and not me sounding like I'm trying to make up for the next argument we go down. However, that doesn't mean game by game. When we do post-match pish, we need to trust the process and get patronised by kids, Terry, every 2 minutes as to what's right and what's wrong. See, today, you call it as you've seen today.
I thought the starting lineup was interesting, because I had thought, if we're looking for the closest thing to McGregor, which Ange has already said doesn't exist, there's not one person who can do that. I personally thought Hatate in that 6 role was possibly the closest thing we could get to McGregor in terms of his passing ability, the fact that he's always heads up, his energy. I definitely didn't see O'Reilly going in there. I really didn't. So that was a bit of a curveball. I didn't see O'Reilly going in there. Now, he did okay. O'Reilly did okay. I just don't see...
He signed 4 number 6s, Terry.
Yes, he has. He signed 4 number 6s. So what you would have expected today... What I expected today, I expected Applegard to go in there from the start. If it wasn't Applegard, I expected it to be Moy. I definitely didn't expect it to be Matt O'Reilly. Now, Matt O'Reilly did okay, but do I think Matt O'Reilly could play that role on whatever night it is, Tuesday or Wednesday? I think it's Tuesday against Leipzig. Possibly he could, but I don't see that. If I'm looking at somebody to go in there and give close to what McGregor, I'm thinking Hatate. But then again, he doesn't play that role, and he hasn't done. But I think the overriding thing is here, we've got 4 number 6s in that squad.
All signed by Ange.
Yet today, he didn't feel any of those 4 were up to starting that match. Then we ended up with 3 number 6s on the park at the end, despite the fact that O'Reilly was playing okay, and Hatate, whilst I didn't think we had any. I didn't think we had anybody. I didn't think we had anybody that was absolutely superb, but I did think probably Hatate was one of the better performers on the day, and then we changed it, and it felt almost like what Ange says he doesn't do, today he actually did. It felt as if he brought on 3 defensive midfielders to try and tie up a 1-0, and it then worked against us. It was
Liam.
it was confusing.
Terry's made a lot of good points there, Liam, and it's brilliant to have you on as a fresh face for the P.M.P, mate. What time is it in Vancouver?
Oh.
You're on mute, mate.
10:30, Russell.
10:30. So it's been an eventful morning for yourself. Put through the ringer by Celtic today, albeit the positive outcome we're looking for. And here's my takeaway for what Terry's saying, though. And Terry raised he's clever in what he's saying. 3 number 6, he's finished the game, yet none of them convincing enough to start. Yet we were told the philosophy, and this is what annoys me with this trust the process stuff. If we go 1-0 up, I was convinced the philosophy was we then go 2-0. Right? We folks would go 2-0. We got told just in midweek alone, in the Champions League, we won't learn by adapting to play the opposition we're playing. We'll only learn by playing the way we play. So how the fuck does McDermott Park become the curveball and all that? How does that become where all those rules are out the window and all the principles and all the philosophies seem to be, in my opinion, put to one side for a team that, to be honest, were offering very little? We literally invited that today. But Liam, this is the thing. I'm going to still, because the environment we're in, caveat this with, this isn't a hounding of the manager. This is just an observation on the last 90 minutes we've just watched Celtic participate in, and also based on comments he made in the past 4 days. And that's all I'm doing, is combining all those factors and then bringing this point to you, Liam. So no one wants Ange out. We all like Ange. But regardless of that bullshit, Liam, what do you make of where I'm coming from with the points I made before having to do all that nonsense?
I think he said before on, when we played in Europe, if we go into survival mode, we'll get beat. Every time you go into survival mode, that's when you bring pressure onto yourself. Those 3 changes he made shifted the entire pressure so that they were now coming at us. This is a team. This team's only won one game at home. So it's like, what were we fearful of? And I think we were starting to. Haksabanovic was coming into a game. Hatate was starting to come.
Hatate was running it, Liam.
Aye, and I thought O'Reilly did pretty good. I did okay there. But I'll tell you what, it's making me start to reminisce about the time when we could only make 3 changes, because just because you've got 5 changes, Ange, you don't have to. And I mean, I was surprised. I was surprised Jota coming off at halftime. He likes a good halftime change.
He likes a halftime shot.
Jota for my ad. Okay, I didn't see a lot he did wrong, but I didn't see him coming into the game the way he usually does. But I mean, at halftime, and they're saying fatigue. So how's Jota fatigued? Because he's not playing internationals. He stayed at home, and he got rested as well when we played the game as well. He got rested for that one as well, where we sat out him and all the other rest of the internationals. But I don't know. Ange is now is inviting us to ask questions by these acts and the hypocrisy.
It's the contradiction, the hypocrisy. That's a great word, Liam. A great word.
It's hypocrisy. It's because he's coming out there and he's telling us, okay, we're playing a certain style where we're going to build on our success. We're going to build on everything that we do, which includes how we score goals, how we set up the team. And then he completely just changed it. And it wasn't due to injury, because, if you have to shuffle it for certain reasons, we all understand. We'll get, okay, do your best, big man. But this seemed to be just out of the, just out of the dark. I mean, McCarthy, I was surprised. I'm glad he came on. He did well.
He actually did well. He did well.
But I was shocked when he came on as well. So we've got Moy, McCarthy. Again, we get all our number 6s on the park at the same time. It made no sense. Also, as well, I don't know, was JJ and Taylor injured?
Well, that was interesting. I think Taylor definitely was injured. Juranovic was on the bench. I think Ralston was due an appearance, Phil. To be honest with you,
I thought Ralston did really well. He had a couple of I watched him in the first half. There was a couple of times where they were running right through the middle, and Ralston came charging back, took the ball right off his feet. There was another couple of times where he came on, and what Ralston does well is he comes in from the right and he manages to cut across and he puts in a few good tackles or saves and blocks and that coming in from the right side onto the left, which is always good. He did that today, and he did get a few good balls over.
Yeah, I think he was worthy of his start. We're gonna go straight to Corey Christie. Come on. It's one loss in 40 plus games. We're not talking about the last 40 plus games. Chris, talk about today, post-match pish. I love to be clear on that. We're not starting to doubt anything. What we're doubting is the fact he changed everything he said we've got to do in Champions League level. He changed today at McDiarmid Park. Chris, this is an undeniable fact, and I appreciate you commenting because I like the back and forth, but you have to be honest here. It's regardless of the personnel. We're talking about, please listen to what Terry said at the beginning. It's the 3 guys that have finished the midfield that he's brought on that he never seen fit to start. That's nothing to do with injuries. It's nothing to do with personnel not being available through suspensions or anything or injury. It's not the case. The fact of the matter is, Celtic tried to protect a 1-0 win today. Yeah, and would not protect a 1-1 draw, for example, in Germany. The same way you wouldn't protect a 1-goal lead in Leverkusen last season, for example, or whatever it was, a one goal advantage. And we lost, we lost that. We've got to be honest in what we're talking about. We're talking about one game. We're not doubting what he's done in the last 40 games. No one is. We're doubting what we're seeing right now because it goes, Phil, against the grain of what we've seen before. And we can only judge it on the 90 minutes and the words that Ange gives us in the most recent sort of times. I think you combine the two, Phil, and we've seen, I'll use the word that Liam did, I think we've seen a bit of hypocrisy today.
I would agree with that one because through the week, obviously, we even talked about it in post-match pitch at the time. We got that equaliser through the week, and we're in that position. What do you do? And it was like we just fell completely out of the game. Instead of being a bit savvy about it and try, that would have been the best time to do what happened today. But I'll tell you something though that concerns me the most, other than the 3 centre defensive mids that ended the game and that whole like change in tact. We have got to find our shooting boots very, very quickly because we will not get away with that week in, week out. That's the Motherwell game last week where we had a lot of chances and only got through 2-1. Okay, Motherwell didn't make many chances, but today, you'll see Johnstone last 10 minutes obviously got their equaliser right at the death after pushing us towards the end. We go up the park and we get the winner. That's great, but see the lack of sharpness that we've had recently in front of goal. I can't explain what's causing it and why it's happening, but with VAR coming in, this is my biggest concern, right? With VAR on the horizon now, is we're going to see, look at how England use VAR. They get a lot of odd decisions where some goals get chopped off for some really tedious things, like a sleeve being offside and stuff like that, right? We need to make sure we're taking every chance that falls our way, put 3 or 4 away per game, because not every goal's we've got to account for stuff like that. So I'm really worried about how our lack of finishing, how this has come about recently.
How do you combat it, Phil? How do you combat the lack of opportunities that have been? I think the opportunities Ange has alluded to. Well, he said midweek, and I think he said today, we're still creating the opportunities. Yeah. How would you combat it?
I think you could probably have an extra forward on the park at the same time. I think that might help.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, yes, because we're talking about who's better, Giakoumakis and Kyogo. We're playing a team like St. Johnstone today. We're making loads and loads of chances. We can't score. What's wrong with having the 2 of them on the park at the same time? Because we're going forward wave after wave, but instead we went the opposite way. And we brought on a bunch of defensive midfielders, and as the boys have said already, that invited pressure the other way. And I say at the end, okay, we got that last gasp goal, and that's all well and good. But if we have similar performances like that again at these wee tricky away grounds, we're not going to get last-minute winners all the time. So we need to sharpen up in front of goal. Some of the chances we're missing are ludicrous.
I think I'm just going to throw one in there because just when we're talking about VAR, the decision where James Forrest was flagged offside was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I wonder we could be in a territory that careful what you wish for with this VAR. I think
that laddie on that right hand side, he was auditioning for the Glasgow Derby at the start of next year. His flag was his arm will be sore tonight. His arm was in the air,
permanently stuck in that position, wasn't it?
Do you know what I mean? That one wasn't even close. You've got the Giakoumakis header, which was an excellent delivery from O'Reilly and a superb header. And there's a debate: was it his arm was offside? Was it his nipple or some part of him that he could score legally with? I don't know, but that Forest one, he was at least a yard on, and yeah, do you know what? He goes through and scores, and all of a sudden we're sitting here talking about an absolutely brilliant pass from Aaron Moy with the outside of his right boot and a superb finish from James Forrest, and all of us, it's a comfortable finish, a comfortable game, and all of that. But I just wanted to throw that one in there because honestly, I couldn't believe he got that one wrong.
I'm going to come back to just so we stay relatively on a thread, because I think what Phil's saying there is very important. We're looking at a situation where there is chances being created. I'm just frustrated we're not taking them. There's an option on the bench that happens to be one of the poster boys, if not the poster boy of the season previous. He also happens to be probably our top scorer this year, unless I'm mistaken, and that's little Kyogo. I look at Giakoumakis at times today, and this is a player I champion. We all champion. We love him, right? We call him Chaos Giakoumakis. We did a Martin O'Neill special. Sound that klaxon, Phil. Sound the klaxon.
Oh, God, I was on the right tab.
Throw it up there.
I'm only joking.
Hey! Shocking.
Sensational. But the thing is, with the conversation we're talking about was a partnership up top. How did Henrik get so good? How did he get to that next level? And it was his partner. I think we're looking at two guys right now up top at Celtic. Both of them doing exceptionally well. But I think that mask's almost over. What would they be like together? Now, you tell me how, Terry, it is feasible that we've never seen those two played up top together as a front pair in the whole time of Andrew's tenure.
I think there might have been a 10 minutes at the end of one game somewhere.
Nah,
they were definitely on the park at the same time. All right, they were on the park at the same time. I think it'll probably happen. I think it'll probably happen before the World Cup because
I think it will.
I think it will. Looking at the way today's game went, and with McGregor out, actually, when I heard that McGregor could be back after the World Cup, I probably am happy enough with that, to be honest, because some of the rumours were that it could be a full season and things like that. He could be back for the next Rangers game, which would be reminiscent of last season where he came back with the mask on and things. I think between now and the closure for the World Cup, I think anything's possible, and I think today has shown that. I would expect at some point we'll see those two guys playing. I think it's more likely to be with, if we look at that today's setup, Haksabanovic was playing in the 10 role, and I don't see how Haksabanovic gives you any more defensively than Kyogo would do if he was in that position. Now I know you're wanting to go with two right up top.
Why not?
I see it with Giakoumakis right up top and Kyogo playing in behind, but effectively it's a front two with two wide. For fuck's sake,
yeah, that's splitting hairs, though, big boy.
I know. I think we'll see it. I think we'll see it. I think
three sitting midfielders, so he's changed his shape. He's definitely
the point I'm going with is the point I'm running with is if we can play Haksabanovic as one of the midfielders, I don't see how that is any different from playing Kyogo in that same role in behind Giakoumakis. That's where I'm going with it. Because Haksabanovic gives you absolutely nothing defensively. He came on to a really good game today, by the way, in the second half. I thought he was quite anonymous until his part in the goal. But then second half, you could see the confidence starting to come through him. But I don't see that he gives you anything more, and possibly even less, that defensive-wise than Kyogo in the same position, because we know how hard Kyogo works and presses and chases back. So I think anything's possible between now and the World Cup. I think Ange's comments, yes, we're questioning everything he has said in the last few days, but he did say, I don't see one person replacing Callum McGregor. I think the formation is up for debate.
Yep.
I really
spot
do.
On.
I thought today was a wee bit more creeping towards a 4-2-3-1. Yes, so Riley was probably the deepest most of the time, but it kind of looked to me like him and Hatate were maybe rotating, or it wasn't just the one sort of quarterback player that we were used to with McGregor.
But the thing is, we're talking about Charles Sweeney comes in. No way. And brilliant to have you back on, Charles, by the way. I appreciate all the support you've shown the channel. No way Ange plays two up top. So this is a matter of fact, Liam. It's a matter of fact. And this is how fans feel. This isn't Charles Sweeney speaking on behalf of Ange. This is the vibe we're given. No way does he do that. Well, I'm going to flip it. No way does Ange Postecoglou finish a game at McDermott Park with 3 holding midfielders. But he did. He did. Now, which one would you say of the non-Ange traits would be more likely? Now, if you said to me, I would say, well, he's more likely to have ended up with 2 strikers than he is with 3 holding midfielders. Yeah, it's the alternative that we've seen today. That I just find that the disappointing aspect for me, because I think at 1-0 that game was either grab it or you try and survive it. Celtic tried to survive it. I think it ended up inviting St John's. I think Tattoo Face was in the comments, the Molotov King, as he's known, and he was saying that it invites pressure. It's a psychological thing when you see these defensive subs coming on. We were minutes away, and by the way, see before St Johnstone scored, Joe Hart's save that goes on at the post. A fucking unbelievable save. And, Joe Hart probably won't get the credit on this channel tonight that what he would if he made a mistake at that level. It's just how we are. We're fickle. We're football fans. It's just the tough world you live in. But, Liam, do you not feel that when it gets to the stage of 1-0, a change has to be made? I would have expected a more attacking, a more aggressive substitution than Ange. Kyogo, remember, and we're all told, well, he only had what he could play with. Well, Kyogo was an unused sub. He's there. We've never heard anything about him being injured. Is there a stubbornness to go to up top? Would that be an acceptance that he's having to do something different? Is Ange got a wee bit of an ego? Is he a wee bit stubborn, Liam, with some of his decisions? Are we allowed to say that without getting pulled off air?
Listen, mate, I reckon, he's got a stubbornness to him. And you can see it. We're starting to see it. I think every manager does. And you have to have that to be a good manager, is to say, okay, no, we're going to do it my way. However, it has to work all the time. And honestly, I can't get by. We've had plenty of talk in this station about Moy. I watched him when he came on, and I'm thinking, okay, he can't be as bad as I think he is, right? So Ange's bringing him on. Let's see what he does. Let's see if he's going to do something different and he's going to stabilize that, or at least do something that we can actually convert chances. And I was watching him, and he was fighting the ball. Ball was coming to him. There was touches that he had that were bouncing off him, and it wasn't doing that. So I don't know how that helped the team. I know when you're playing, or even when we're watching football and we're playing against a good European team, and I see these teams where there's a guy playing in the midfield or something that's dominating the game, and then he comes off after 65 minutes and you're going, thank God he's gone. I thought Hatate's that type of player. I thought O'Reilly was playing well. Haksabanovic. The players that he took off, that he changed, that seemed to be the entire engine room of the team at that time. And as I'm saying, it's far too much at the one time. If he'd have brought one player in and kept either Hatate or O'Reilly on, then at least you would start seeing the shape.
That's it.
Evolve, right? Rather than this just bang, all of a sudden we look nervous again and we have invited that pressure on. I'd like to see him use Kyogo as a winger. Ange talks about versatility in his players. Okay, so if he's versatile, we played him in the wing once with Edward, but Edward couldn't give a shit that game. He wasn't bothering.
You've got a Jack who's just hungry.
So rather than writing off, Eddie as no one to be here, we write off, well, Kyogo can't play in the wing. That can't happen. I'd like to see him playing on the wing with Giacomakis up front, because I think when you start dropping, when you get too many of your good players sitting on the bench, it's no good for team spirit. You want your best players in the park. And right now, Giacomakis, as he's shown, is one of your best players.
He has to play.
He needs to get goals. And I don't think Kyogo would have as much joy. They got a big back four that like to throw the boot around, and they were getting physical.
Considine,
he was an idiot as well, right? But I'm just stubborn. I think he is getting stubborn, and I don't know what it is. Is this Australian trip becoming too much of a distraction? Because before he flew off
The
to
upcoming
Oz,
trip.
we were flying.
Yeah.
We were flying. And everything's about momentum. I believe in everything I do in business. Anything that I do is once you have momentum, keep it going, because it's hard to restart
That's a
it
good
again.
point.
And we were coming off big wins with Rangers, big wins with Dundee. We were coming in, it looked okay against Real Madrid. But now we've changed the momentum. We played a team where we just like ripped to 8 players, put 8 new players in, and so that meant momentum. It wasn't going. We weren't doing what Ange promised us, that we would get better and we would evolve, and that every game is a building process, and we'll get better than the next game than we were. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing players digress to the sense we saw players digress during like Lennon's final year. But I'm not seeing O'Reilly ripping it up this year. I'm not seeing. There's a lot of players that I think are struggling right now, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the unfamiliarity of the change and chop all the time. But I think that's either as well. I think
there's many reasons. There's many reasons behind it, Liam. I think there's many reasons behind it. I happen to agree with the point you made earlier about the subs rule. Because there's 5 subs, Phil, doesn't mean you use 5 subs. And what do you always say in the pre-season game? When you see 5 or 6 subs at half-time, you go, oh, well, the game kind of changed after that, and, the rhythm of the game stopped. We're doing that on a daily, like a weekly basis, every match. And often it is this half-time swap that he's doing.
Yeah.
Or it's the combination subs. Now, let's look at the combination subs today, Phil McGinley. And you tell me that as a manager who 3 days before that is telling you the way to take on a Leipzig is by going toe to toe. That's how we learn, right? And yet that man just taking O'Reilly and Atati, who are running the show at this point. I'm not saying they're having their best games ever. You don't need to be at McDermott Park. Just FYI. No offense. You don't need to be having the best game in the world. They were running it. He takes them both off his creative licenses. You bring on the players he's brought on. Let's be real here, Phil. That isn't a game plan that is, this is going to get us to the 2-0 holy grail where we get the comfort blanket on. I think that's protection. I'm astounded I'm watching a Postecoglou team protecting a 1-0 lead at McDermott Park when the obvious option is play the fucking 2 of them up front and shut up. It's so simple. It's so in your face. Kyogo's suffering because he's sitting on the bench. Giakoumakis has only started 18 games for Celtic, yet got 16 goals. What's that, his second or third start of this season? He's a bona fide Celtic striker. Play the 2 of them. You might be surprised. And Kalmak's exclusion that Terry was alluding to earlier, Kalmak's exclusion, I think, gives Ange that reason to go, well, you didn't really back down on your principles, Ange. No one's judging you. And you get all the usual fanboys saying, well, because Kalmak came out and forced his hand to play 2 up top, so you'll not even get any critique. Just do it. Just sharp and do it, Ange. You know what I mean? That is the two players that need to be in the same team are your 2 match winners. There's no excuse either way. And whether it be Kyogo in the wing, that's fine. But for me, play the 2 of them up top. They're 2 match winners. They both need to play, Phil.
Aye, the subs again. I mean, even when they happened, that one bringing on like the defensive midfield, as I was watching it, there was a sort of like you felt it at the time. Me and my dad said it when we were watching it, like this feels like the wrong move at the wrong time. It's just like and obviously it was at the end. Obviously we're getting pushed back a wee bit, and we're inviting the pressure on. But I just want to touch on the Maeda substitution. I believe that's the 4th time this season that he's done the half-time Maeda on. Didn't he? Done it against Real Madrid. Did he bring him on against Rangers at half-time today?
There's been plenty of half-time swaps.
I mean, Maeda in particular. It's Maeda that he's bringing on.
I get that. No, I know.
Because again, we talked about Maeda.
Whether it be on or off. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
It does feel like sometimes the subs are just a sub for the sake of it. Like
so what's that about
what we're talking about with we've got this 5 sub rule, and that does benefit us with the strength of our squad. But if you don't need to make it, don't do it. But it does feel like sometimes we are just changing one for the sake of it. Look at through the week against Leipzig when we were obviously 2 goals behind at the time. And I think he brought on McCarthy And it was like, why at that point in the game? What's that going to change? What's that going to achieve? But there has been some bizarre ones with the subs. And again, go back to something Terry said at the start, and I know that Mark had made this point on Twitter. Again, if there were other managers in our recent history that had been making some of these subs, people would be losing their minds. They'd be absolutely losing their minds on social media and so forth.
That's fair.
Yeah, some of them are just... Yeah, the day, I say, it just felt at the time, and you shouldn't be getting that feeling. The amount of chances we were making in that game, we should go and dominate this. And then when those subs happened, there was a sort of, I don't know, I've got my doubts here. And I said, you shouldn't be in that position as a Gulf fan. Celtic.
Could the good bit, Phil, be what we've seen in all of this is that James McCarthy, and I'll be honest again, not in a bad way, it sounds like I'm being anti-Ange here. No, you're anti-Ange. Ange. Like, I'm not trying to be, but could the thing be in this, in spite of his doubts, in spite of the fact the signing was thrust upon him, whose attitude shines the brightest?
Yep.
I'll tell you who. The boy who makes that tackle on that left, the guy who does that bit more, the guy who, for want of a better phrase, gets it, Phil. Now, that might not tickle the pickle of the purists out there, but sometimes you need guys like James McCarthy to go, I know what needs to happen here. I just care more than what you care. And by the way, that could go for Jack Kamakis as well. I think his celebration proved that. I think when he's punching the sponsor boards, I think he's frustrated, but I also think he gives a toss. But James McCarthy, Phil, could there be? And I am the resurrection story coming out. I mean, I tell you what, you want to make songs for players left, right, and centre. Get the Stone Roses playing. If he manages to somehow play instead of Callum McGregor between now and the World Cup, which he did no harm, by the way. See, in theory, I would now play him. We just know he won't. We know he won't get that chance, right? The same fair opportunity. Now, we'll all say that's good. Everyone will give Ange a pass. But realistically, James McCarthy's proven to me that's the guy I would play. Whilst Cal McGregor's out. He's not back till after the World Cup. It's McCarthy. The job's done, Phil.
I'm glad you brought up McCarthy because I think he is a bit of an unsung hero of the day. We talked about it before we came on air there. In fact, a show that we've done in the last couple of weeks, you and I definitely, it was in the wake of the St Mirren game, and we definitely talked about the Aaron Moy stuff. And I said on here, I'm pretty confident that James McCarthy can play all the exact same passes that Aaron Moy was doing in that game of playing it back the way and sideways. So why does McCarthy never get a look in? But here's the difference. See, today in that situation.
Stubbornness.
Aye. McCarthy, he knew what had to be done. He knows what it means. And that run through there. Because when that tackle was made on Bernabei, I was like, that's it. That's it. That was the time was about to elapse. You're like, that was the last chance right there. But he made sure we got one last chance out of it. And thank God he did for making that run, which you wouldn't have expected from McCarthy. But again, we talked before we came on air, Russell. Who would Aaron Moy have made that type of run if Aaron Moy had the year that McCarthy had just had at the club? I know. Well, you're next in the clock. We're going clockwise. You can ask Terry that one. You can ask Terry that one.
Ask me, lads. There's a couple of names you've mentioned there, and I definitely do applaud McCarthy's role in that goal, and obviously Jack and Mack finished it. But there's 2 minutes to go whenever St Johnstone scored. And for the first 60 seconds, we fucked about with that ball. Welsh played a ball out to the right-hand side. It ended up going out for a throw into St Johnstone. I'm sitting there going, right, fucking hold on. With 2 minutes here, we should be trying to get a winner. We haven't played a forward pass here until Stephen Welsh played one, and then it went out to play for a throw-in. Somebody tried to keep it in the right-hand side, Forrest or whatever. I don't know who. But I watched it back. Between the end of the game and the show starting. Bernabei took the bull by the horns a wee bit, and he tried to make something happen. And yes, he was tackled, but the ball then broke, and McCarthy played him in again. And you've got to say that was an absolutely superb cross from Bernabei. And I've been one of his biggest critics. I honestly felt that we'd possibly pissed 4 million up against the wall, to be honest. And I know we've kind of caveated it with he's the first Argentinian player to come to the club. He's coming from the far side of the world. But I just wanted to see the basics in the guy, and I hadn't seen that. But I thought he was actually okay today. There was a couple of stray ones, but his attitude just in that moment where he said, you know what, I'm going to try and make something happen here. And he did. and his delivery in a moment where that could have went into Rose Ed behind the net, could have went out to the corner flag, could have went out for a throw in. It was absolutely precise, and I thought the guy did okay today. And having been a critic in the past, I'm more than happy to sit here and say I thought he played he obviously played an amazing role in the goal. One thing I would say though,
Cubs was the expensive signing of the summer. Remember,
if you were a St Johnstone fan, you'd be very disappointed in that lad that just fucking sat down. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, yes, injured, yeah, that's fine. But fucking hell, even if both legs were broke, you could have got to that ball and kicked it out for a throw-in or something. He just sat down. And it was one of the most fortuitous 3 points I think we'll get in a long time. And I look at those two today as 2 bonus points. And I just hope come May that they're valuable. I really do.
I think as well, Liam, right now Celtic's not in form. It's okay to say that, right?
Yeah.
But by the way, me and you and Phil sat last night talking about, and talking about a treble winning mark on the old team. Sound that klaxon. But Liam, the honest truth realistically is, of course they have dips in forms. These guys, they are gonna see if this is our dip in form. At this moment in time, we've hung in there in the Champions League. We've got 3 points away today where I don't know how much on merit. Some might feel we battered them first half and stuff. I felt
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we did, Bhoycie, because Celtic and Rangers will batter teams most weeks. And when you drop points, you've probably battered them anyway. Do you know what I mean?
So if you can do that during your dips in form, all the more important.
Yeah. So if you just come back to your point about, I'm sorry to come across. You
no,
come back
fine.
to the point about the goals. I honestly think that's short term. I think if you look at
one more time, though,
if you look at the guys, Kyogo scored enough goals. Giakoumakis has scored enough goals. Abada has scored enough goals. Abada missed 2 absolute sitters. The first one in the first half, I don't know what he was doing. It's gone out over the bar. And then he was clean through in the second half and he's hit the keeper. I genuinely think the missed chances are short term. I don't see that being a long-term problem. I think we'll click in again and we'll be back to where we were at the start of the season, where we were coming on here and going, we've only scored 6 today. That's a bit annoying. We've only scored 4. We're used to getting more than that. I genuinely think that's short term. That'll click in again. My own thoughts are Callum McGregor, along with Carter Vickers, are probably the only 2 players in the squad that we don't have an adequate replacement for. And Carter Vickers is back today. I thought he was a little bit rash at times. I thought his part in the St Johnstone goal.
I thought he was trying to impose himself a bit, though. I think it was almost like he was making up for.
He'd already had one before, where he kind of had that Starfelt moment where he tries to win a ball that he could never win, and he gave away a foul probably about 10 minutes before the goal, and then he done it again. He tried to win a ball that he couldn't win, but that's okay. McGregor is now out until the new year, and I've absolutely fucking forgot what I was talking about. Cameron Carter Vickers and
his name begins with a C, and then his middle name begins with a C.
Here's where I was going with this. Here's where I was going with this. I think we've got to get through until the other side of this World Cup break without falling behind. That's where my head's going with this.
Oh, fuck!
No, honestly, today we were level with 30 seconds to go. We were back to joint level.
Ooh, I know, but I just think that's. I mean, for me,
no,
that's a falling standards, Terry. Though that if you, I'm not saying what your opinion is wrong, but what I will challenge you on is, can you not deny that the optics of that, my man, are ridiculous compared from where they would have been on the back of the 4-0 humping. We both, you what's the word?
I just think the guy we've lost, Bhoycie, the guy we've lost is the heartbeat of the side.
Is that what it is? Okay.
He's the heartbeat of the side, and we've seen it last year.
Okay.
We've seen it last year when he was gone, and he's now gone until January, probably at the earliest.
Liam, I'll come at you. I think Terry's opened the can of worms that I love, because now we're talking fucking debate, and that's why Terry is the face of P.M.P, because he brings debate to the... This is no echo chamber. This is the Bhoycie Bus, and this is what we do. Now, Liam, I am sorry, but if Terry's fears are reality, and maybe they are, if they're to be realised, then fuck me. Ange's had not one, not two, not three, but 4 goes at a number 6. And to be honest, I don't think Callum McGregor was initially meant to be number 6 in the team. I think Ange has got a lot of, by the way, kudos for maybe moulding him into the guy who now takes the ball for defence and just gets moves set up so much quicker. And now guys like Abildgaard probably look like they're in slow motion in comparison. However, I think Abildgaard aside, I think the jury's out on Ideguchi. I mean, the jury's not out. He may as well go back home. I think that's done. No offence to him, it's done. You would have had the chance by now. McCarthy, I Am the Resurrection by the Stone Roses better be his theme song if he ever scores for Celtic, because he seems
He'll never
so
score.
far
He'll
out.
never score. He'll never score.
He seemed, that's fine. Aaron Moy, I'm telling you right now, isn't close to the level we need. So that's 4 goes at number 6. How do you think he'll go with the number 6, Liam, naturally? Or could this be the shake-up in the system that's needed?
I don't know. I think this might have to be... Ange's going to... If he can't find a number 6, he's going to have to change the shape of the team somehow. We like, maybe it's just playing McCarthy in the middle as well. I'd try him in the McGregor position. You know, I'm still worried about all the chances we're missing. Like, the midfield is making chances for our strikers. You said before Abada. I thought Abada had a really poor game. You know, he sat the last one.
He's finished at the tone. Finished. Remember the one that went ski with?
Right at the start, yep.
Yeah, he wasn't coming back for an injury. You know, and he was on fire at one point as well too. And I think we pulled him off too early in that Real Madrid game. I think maybe that shot his confidence or whatever it is. Or, you know, maybe just some of these players aren't responding to the fact that, you know, they have a job to do. They've got so much adulation this year. You know, they come out as the champions. We've you know, we put heaps and heaps of praise on them. Everybody's got a song now, and you know, and maybe it goes to some players'
That's
heads.
it, Liam.
And when I look at Abada today, Abada looked as if he was, I don't know, he was just in two minds. And
how many days training did he miss? How many days training has he missed? Obviously, he missed the game midweek. But I told you know, does anyone know how many days
he trained early in the day before they flew to Leipzig? He trained at Celtic Park. He was pictured at the Celtic Park training station before they flew out.
I think the whole thing was
I've worked with old company I worked with was Johnstone, and so he didn't really. I think he celebrate a holiday every now and then and stuff like that. Maccabi Haifa was playing the same night. Right, so I'm just wondering, okay, like, and I don't know how secular or religious he is and all that, but I've seen guys miss game, still play games when their wife's been given birth. I think Craig Gordon just did that for Scotland. His wife was given birth while he's playing for Scotland, and I just think it's momentum. If you're flying, stay flying. Why put the brakes and pull yourself out of a game? And again, I don't know. I mean, I'd play in Christmas, chance to play in the Champions League. I'd play. It didn't matter what holiday it was, I would want to play. And so I don't know if that takes away some of the momentum from him now. And now he's been away for a while and he's starting to, you know, feels he has to get his place again in the team, and he's over trying or over hitting or overthinking about it. But I think the wee man's definitely off. I mean, maybe he's fighting with his girlfriend again. Who knows? That seems to play in his head. But we need to get them into.
I mean,
and when you're missing that many chances, Mayada, like the lot of them, Kyogo and that as well. Other teams are burying them against us. I mean, St. Johnstone should have. They had as many chances as us today. You're right. They had that as a boy McLean, I think, and May.
See that 10-minute flurry, Liam? No joke. When they got the goal, that could have been the third in that period. We were on the fucking ropes. And I genuinely have never understood back. You can end up on the ropes based on decisions we've made to combat the game in front of us from a 1-0 position, Liam. That's what I didn't get, pal.
Aye, and the frustrating things is the reason we're saying that is because that's what Ange keeps telling us. That's his philosophy, that you don't defend, you chase, you go and you bully them. And if if they're worried about defending you, they're not attacking you. Like best defense is a good offense.
Is that not Ange's philosophy, Liam?
Exactly.
Is that not what we've been told?
So are the players no following that because they didn't send themselves on? They didn't send themselves on.
Well, let's go to Phil. I'm going to go to Phil.
Why was he on?
I'm going to go to Phil because we've got a wee interesting take here, Phil, which I know you like.
Okay.
Now, Ange said after the game midweek, he's seen the goal come. Remember, he spoke about this. He's seen the goal coming with Joe Hart. It didn't matter that it was Joe Hart who made the mistake. He's seen the mistake happening because we were doing negative passes. We're doing passes back. That's not what we're about. See, when you stop being brave, this will happen. It happened to be Joe Hart who made the mistake. Obviously, absolving the goalkeeper of the mistake and saying, Joe Hart, remember, of course, we spoke about, came out and kind of went, well, that's what the manager tells us to do.
Yeah.
I kind of went, you didn't that, but you will. However, today, I feel the manager did those passes back, if you like, by making the 3 subs he did. They were not guys that were going to come on and be a progressive Celtic. So see, for all these, the guys started playing passes back. I think if I was a player, I'd be going, well, that is metaphorically passes backward passes. You're making, Ange. Does that make sense, Phil?
Yeah, you're bringing on 3 guys that like a square ball to the side or back the way mostly. It's like there's no balance. Balance is way off. And that's not the first time we've said that. And basically
and
in this calendar year.
Remember as well, by the way. Remember he was I think maybe rightfully so. He felt the team didn't stick to their game plan midweek, Phil. That's it. Right. And he went, the reason Hearts made that mistake is they all lost their will of focus, if you like, their tunnel vision on what I tell them to do. But today, that tunnel vision, I feel that focus, Ange, I've got to shift it back to you, big boy.
He said something similar after the loss to Real Madrid about, the players didn't stick to the game plan. But when you look at 3 players of a similar sort of style coming on in close proximity, it's like, well, what was the game plan there? It's like we just went to shit during that. And as I said a minute ago, it's all about balance in the team. When you've got too many players on that are very, very similar in nature, the team's all over the place. We've seen it early in the year when Rogic was still with us. There was the game against Bodo where Rogic and O'Reilly started on the same game. And it was like the balance in the midfield was completely wrong. So there's been a few issues like that. Yeah, so it's very routine stuff like that. And also, cheers, Gary Brown.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, pal.
Cheers, mate.
Sorry, Phil. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But no, I know what you mean. It's a metaphorical thing. I think it was Liam that said earlier on. It sends a message to the opposition when you're bringing on players that are just defensive-minded, that are just going to play the safe ball all the time. It's going to give them a wee bit of confidence. I've said this to my dad before, like, when you go to, like, home games at Celtic Park, right, obviously teams come and they just stodge it up, most of the SPL teams, and but if they can keep themselves in it till the last 10 minutes, they're going to just throw everything forward. And even on their own patch, they'll do the same, and that was the scenario of the day. St Johnstone kept himself in it because we squandered many, many chances, and with 10 minutes to go, suddenly they're looking at the moves that we've made, and they're like, we start throwing a few long balls forward, we can start making them panic a wee bit. And of course, their goal does come from a set piece, which is something that we've also lost a lot of goals from in Ange's time.
True.
Yeah, remember there was a period back in like February where, like, was it Aberdeen we played at Pataudry? They scored from like two set pieces, was it? They scored from that night, but we beat them 3-2 in the end. But there was a wee run that we went on. There was a game we played against Dundee at Celtic Park where we got through with a 3-2 win, but Dundee scored for a set piece again, just a long ball into the box. So it's not the first time that this has happened. So there's wee things that keep coming up every so often. But today, in terms of balance, that's not the first incident we've had where the balance has seemed off in the midfield, and it was all brought on by ourselves by making those changes. It was baffling at times today, baffling. So
I think as well, see when you domestically, we're told by Mark Kernan in particular, which I like having a back and forth. I respect his views, you know, and I think this is the only channel, Phil, Mark Kearney would be allowed to give his views, because the rest is sycophantic bullshit, right? Then more so, by the way, explained. Ange Postecoglou, and then what was he before today? Was it 1 in 5? 1 in 5? 1 in 5. I'm sure it's 1 in fucking 5. Right, let's call it 1 in 5 because it sounds good now. I've said it that many times. You're at that press conference and you're asking about where your mentality originates from. You get 2 questions, and your second question is talking about him self-adulating bullshit that even confused Postecoglou. I'm not going to say who asked it. I just think you've got to be better than that. There's a time to scrutinise or a time to question even your own heroes. Now, you made the point to us, Phil. 69 games, we went domestically unbeaten. A run we'd never seen before.
Yep.
I remember during that going, it's too slow. It's fucking too slow. See if they pass it back to Boyata one more time. Oh, my God. And you know Boyata's going to play it right back. Lustig. Lustig's going to play... Oh! We were allowed to say that during a 69-game unbeaten run. However, now, Terry, are we in an environment the questions can't be asked of the team? Or is it being naysaying? Is it being me being a prick? Maybe it is. But I'm not convinced, Terry, this current crop get the same scrutiny that our foregone heroes, not because they're dead, do you know what I mean? Just been like our past heroes that are still alive, the FYI, all still alive. But all those heroes, I think they earned their hero status, Terry. I think right now, that's the masses outside my door right now.
It's probably going back to what we said last week, Bhoycie. It's a society and cultural change. Everything is about short-termism, and we've probably bought into this thing where Ange has come in and we really weren't expecting anything in the first season, but because we got the success we got in the first season, we're then expecting amazing things in the second season, and it probably just hasn't materialized in the last few weeks. Up until the Rangers game, yeah, it probably did, but things have just gone a wee bit off in the last few games.
Who's this, Terry? My God, Russell, you've slagged down so much off. I think he means off everything over the past month. Not quite true.
That's completely false. That's completely false, and you don't even need to answer it because
no. But I like bringing up disagreements in the chat.
Yeah.
The Bhoycie Bus healthy. See if you only bring up echo chamber shit, you turn into the wee fella. So we were all told we're blinkered and we can't say a word against them. I don't understand every point I made about Postecoglou. I've said the reason I worry about critique of Ange Postecoglou is genuine hate that I've seen on social media. Phil, you've seen it. I know, Q-Boy, you don't really use Twitter, right?
I'm on there fighting, but I haven't a fucking clue what's going on.
Phil, you know the score. Any critique I've made of anything to do with Celtic has been hate. So that's why I've said you can't say a word against Ange. That's what it all based on, Santoy. Okay? Yeah. I am very chilled. I don't slag off Ange, though, whatsoever. I critique the manager the same way as we just were discussing there. We critiqued a manager who did a 69, not 38, a 69 domestic unbeaten run. So I'm sorry, Santa. I appreciate you, by the way. I actually like a wee bit of pushback in the chat. I love it, but I'm going to stand up for myself on that one as well. You're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
By the way, Brendan is fucking to use Scottish lingo. He's hanging by a ball hair.
Well, as Terry said at the very start of the show, on the Bhoycie Bus, we have advocated many times to get Ange tied down to a long-term contract.
We've won a watch.
Like, Well, apparently we slag him all the time. What's this?
Whose point initially was it? And let's be honest, guys, right? We're in a group chat. So I'm going, fucking hell, Monday Club still no played 9 weeks since we last played a game. I'm like, talking points. And then it was, why has Ange not got a new deal? And that became a thing for a few shows because he went, actually, hold on now. The biggest asset of the club, Celtic are allowed to have in a rolling contract. That's not. So we've done all this stuff. So hating on Ange and all that stuff, or do better, Santoy. Do better. In fact, anyone else, do better as well. Because we're critiquing what we're seeing in front of us. Your eyes don't lie, Teddy Rob.
No, listen. Ange is a human being, right? I think I do a good job in my work.
Yep.
But I make mistakes every single week. Do you know what I mean? And I think we've won a watch with him, and I keep saying the same thing, but he will make mistakes from time to time. And I think over the last couple of weeks, he's probably not got everything absolutely right. And he probably would admit that himself. We're not beating on the manager. We're not starting an Ange out campaign. We're just talking about the last couple of games and things we've seen with our eyes, and we're just asking the questions.
And that's, Liam, what it comes down to these days. Any critique right now, I think I've never known a support so protective, Liam, as what we're now. The reason I come to Liam, right? We were speaking last night about sound that klaxon. We were speaking last night, right, about the Martin O'Neill team, right?
Shocking.
But they were men. Liam, they were men.
Aye.
I remember raging at times at all of them, not very much, Henrik. But even at, I don't know, probably. You imagine if social media was rife then and going, Bobby fucking Petter, how's he starting? And then Bobby Petter doing what he does against Ajax. And these wee idiots don't have a clue what they're talking about. Or Alan Thompson, what are we saying the Dudford's Aston Villa from? Or it being the other way. And this protective winding over Vida Reset's amazing, man. You can't. I've got a Vida Reset like sing song going on, and Stephen Mahe Mayhem. Here we go again, and before you know it, he's at the team. And nowadays they fucking freak out. They would say, "Well, you were a wee bit harsh on Stephen Mahe there." This is the difference. We're in a different era now. They all need Molly Condor. They all need amazing. No, you're not all amazing. And you're not all going to be amazing all the time, Liam. Do you know what? You're obviously an artist or whatever. That doesn't mean every single day you paint pictures, mate, that are fucking amazing. I bet you there's hundreds that are in that scrap heap that you go, thank God no one's seen them. Sadly for Celtic, when you have a bad day, it's in a public eye of hundreds, if not millions, of people who are watching you, whether on television screens or at the game. We're all allowed an opinion on it.
Aye. No, I think that's what I loved about going to the game. So I've missed the last couple of games at the pub because the wee guy that runs it's in Scotland right now. So he comes back next week. So we'll be going back to the pub to watch games. So having a forum like this, I would just be complaining to the old guys in the pub the same way I'm complaining now. And by the way, it's not always complaining. I mean, it's other times I'm punching holes in the ceiling and all that, jumping a bit daft for a man my age. It makes no sense.
I've never seen a podcast or a YouTube channel ever open up with and it's all dancing the way the Bhoycie Bus has, right?
Well,
it's got to be balanced, you know.
I think you have to be critical of the manager the same way you have to be critical of players as well. And I think there's a complacency that sets in. And I look at certain players in our team. You brought it up when we talked about Martin O'Neill's team. I watched Stilian Petrov go from a 20-year-old boy to a man, like a man that would like go into the change, give Bobo Baldy shit for not having a good game or making a daft pass and stuff. There's players in this team, I don't know. I don't see Aaron Moy being a presence because I can't even look at him and say, oh, I've always done this, and this. No, he's like, oh, he's played in the English Premier League, and people get so wound up about that. Like, that's a badge of honour. There's guys for all sorts of teams in Scotland that have went down there, played Premier League, played in the Championship, and not really done much. You know, they're there to make up the
works both ways.
You know, and there's the times that we got offered him we got offered him in a swap, and I'm going, fuck, I don't want him. I remember him when he played with Motherwell or St Johnstone and that, and he didn't do anything against us. You know, and I've got like in a crazy.
Did you not feel though a bit like that? Like, see Liam, see with this Johnstone team today. I seen ex-Rangers man Jamie Murphy up top.
Aye.
Ex-Aberdeen striker Stevie May up top. I started thinking, wait the fucking now. And then at the back we had Considine, who was an Aberdeen legend. Then we had that Ryan McGowan, who I don't know if you remember last year before we played Hearts, opening day of the season. Ange got a bit ratty because he was asked, what do you know about Heart Midlothian? And he said, I know loads about Hearts, you know. I used to train Ryan McGowan, he used to play for them. I thought, well, that was about a year ago. But Ryan McGowan was playing for St Johnstone today. There was loads of familiar names in their team. Loads of familiar names. It's funny how it works out like that.
There certainly wasn't anything to fear. You know, there was nothing to fear. You look at the players that we put on that park today, we should have handled that comfortably. And we didn't. We made it hard for ourselves. And I think we continue to make it hard for ourselves. I don't know how our fitness isn't lasting. How is O'Reilly not playing past 60, 65 minutes? Does Hatate finish a game? No, very rarely. You know, so you're taking off a lot of your best players at that point. Some of our best players can't play a full game. I'm glad CCV's back. My God, I mean, for his contribution today, I thought he came in like Terry's right. He had a couple of wee hiccups at the end. That one when he went through the boy with the knee.
He's huge. He's back the way. It's huge. It's back. Yeah, it's huge. The fridge is back.
Guys, can I just ask this one? He was captain today, which I'm absolutely fine with. But who is the official vice captain? Because I thought it was Hart. I thought it was Hart, which is a wee bit strange that CCV then took the ban today.
See me again. See when it's going to be Seacrest as the number one by the end of the season, Terry. Just make the decision less awkward.
I just thought the vice captain was an official thing, and it came across to me that it was Hart.
I would take that as
P.M.P.
Take it as how you look at it. When your jersey's on a sugary peg, mate, why give him that captain's armband? I think, and it's not being disrespectful to Joe. As I said earlier, which folk will forget, the save he made just after the triple sub, and not because of the triple sub, by the way. It had nothing to do with that. It was literally seconds after it. But that save Hart makes where he flicks on the post for Stevie May is unreal. As much as it is the worst finish by Stevie May ever. I mean,
I see that totally. I see that totally different because I thought it was in. I thought it was in, and I'm going, fucking hell, he could have got a better hand on it than that. That's what I thought. Honest to God, I did. Now, I've only seen it once. I've seen it once.
I'll tell you why. No, I'll come back on you. He was expecting a cleaner strike.
He's fluffed it.
Stevie May's fluffed his length. I think that's caught Joe Hart almost.
But that's probably why I'm thinking, how the fuck has that gone in? And then it hasn't gone in, and then I've gone, oh well, that's all right. But yeah, I expected that to go in the net, and then I'm thinking, how's he not got a stronger hand on it? But yeah, your man hasn't hit it. He hasn't hit it as he wanted to, and it probably is. It's the same as Bernabei's contribution. It's the same as Jack and Maggot's contribution. It's a match-winning contribution. But when I seen how bad Stevie May hit it and it still ended up in the post, I'm going, holy fuck, that was nearly in the net. Like,
well, I mean, I completely agree. Brian McCabe, I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not. I certainly will take it sarcastically. You guys need to get up to speed on your XGs and stats if you want to progress with this channel. Hit the like if you hate all that XG pish. I think that's the real Brian McCabe at the bottom. Because that isn't what we're about. The XG stuff we leave to the experts.
No. Earlier on, Brian had
we're about the optics.
Earlier on, Brian had the comments saying he's going to report us to YouTube for slagging Ange, so he's definitely just having a wee wind up there, guys.
No, I love that. But I think I think the captain's armband thing, Phil, is Joe Hart a man? Despite that save, and I think I get where Terry's come from. I think it's an unexpected save. I think he's expecting that should be a clean strike. That guy's just shite, Stevie, mate. I mean, he's fell off a cliff. Anyway, I think Joe Hart's not the vice captain because Ange can see come the end of the season, the Bhoycie Bus might have been right, maybe for the first time ever. And the guy who signed on a 4-year deal at 30 years old, called Segrist, may well just become the numero uno goalkeeper, the guy who can pass the ball better than Hart could. The reason Joe Hart left Man City is for his football ability, not because he's handling ability or whatever. I also happen to think that the part of Man City has influenced Joe Hart. I think he is. I think he does second guess probably more than what he used to, even when it comes to the just being a goalkeeper. It's my hunch. I'll be completely honest. I think Segrist will be our number one come the end of this season. I certainly hope so because we've seen this before when the obvious thing is there. The brilliant name, Francisco Javier Sanchez Broto.
Which manager did he play under again, Russell? Who brought him in?
That Claxon, baby.
Yes.
Shocking.
I mean, he was so far ahead of Rab Douglas and Magnus Hedman. So far ahead. Yeah. Like, I don't understand why. Just because he's an understated signing, because he came from an SPL club like Sanchez Broto did at that time, don't fall for the name Joe Hart. If the decision is to be made, make it. Fucking make it, because that'll be for the benefit of the team. I'm not saying we're at that situation yet. I think we'll get there eventually at some point during the season, sadly.
Yeah, I
think we're distracted because of this World Cup and the break coming up and that as well. I mean, we're looking at our club.
Distract too many, Liam. Distract too many.
I don't know if it's distracting Ange. I mean,
how many players realistically though are we going to lose?
No. But the point Liam's making is obviously Ange goes and does the
press junket.
We're going to call it the Ange homecoming ceremony until the Bears got a wee bit angry about that. Remember, it's going to be the Ange homecoming tour. Remember, so obviously he's still got. Celtic's got that, but he's already been back to Australia once. Then we've got to go back. Mark Kearney called it. I mean, there's been links yesterday. Celtic are now about to offer a new contract. Sorry to Postecoglou. Look at the timeline. The timeline events would be he announces that in Australia.
Aye.
Has that been a distraction? I wouldn't like to think so, though, Liam. I mean, if this guy's is, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be anyway.
You're looking at the problem, and you have to look and see, okay, well, what are the possible?
What's caused the drop off? I get you.
Like, look at Dubai. Dubai for us was like a fucking shit show. And I'm not saying it's anything like that, but I mean, could they not send somebody else? Scott McDonald played for the club. You can go to Australia. We got Harry Kuehl, maybe send Harry. But I don't know, like, when we're in the middle of a tough fight in a Champions League group, and I know it's an international break, but sending your manager away to Australia, I don't know if that's the right message. But,
Liam, Mark Viduka runs a coffee shop in Zagreb. Now he's got time to go and do it. We'll send him over. He can go and represent us. So it is, by the way. Aye, it is.
I heard he walked out of that coffee shop. I heard he just fucking packed it in and walked away.
Aye. Another day this anywhere.
Here, if I remember the Mark Viduka that started with us, he probably had quite a few sausage rolls in that coffee shop.
Aussie rules, mate. Aussie fucking rules.
Good player, by the way. Great player, brother.
Player.
But he was a wee bit heavy at one point.
Do you know what? The thing was with Viduka, it was almost like Henrik was like Roger Federer of the tennis world. Is that, it's amazing. Mark's played the season of his life. It's just a shame I'm so much better than him. It just carries on.
He went down to the Premiership. Viduka went down to the Premiership and done it. Like he really did.
But
He did.
What would Henrik have done at that time though? In the English Premier League? Oh, fucking give me
He'd won the European Golden Boot the same as he did with us.
Like Henrik in that Leeds team. I mean, I think he'd have been disappointed. I think he'd been disappointed what was around him. That's the honest truth. I think
get your ball to fuck.
Leaving Chris Sutton for Michael Bridges. Come on, you could do better than that. Anyway, boys, that's been out of 15. I think we've stretched out. Do you know what? It's been a post-match pish. It's always been a therapy session. Yes, there's disappointments with the subs. Yes, there's disappointments in the lineup. Yes, there's contradictions and hypocrisy in Ange's tactics and what he says to the media. No offense, Ange. It's just the truth. But what the one thing that will always linger true, did we get 3 points? We absolutely did.
Bhoycie, there's a new song I'm absolutely loving. Can we finish off with it?
If you want.
Go on. Haksabanovic. What a song. Absolutely brilliant.
About me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.